Hello students, let's start with the next topic of our syllabus. The next chapter we are going to start here is nothing but rotational dynamics. What exactly rotational dynamic is there? In that case, let's start with one by one topic. Here, the first topic is nothing but what? Characteristics of circular motion. So before going into detail of characteristics of circular motion, you must know what is meant by circular motion. So the motion of any an object along a circumference of a circle is said to be circular motion. For example, this is a circle. For example, this is a circle, and particle start here and it will perform a motion along a circumference of a circle only. It is rotating about circumference of the circle only. On this circumference, particle will rotate, continue again and again. Then that type of motion of object or particle along a circumference of a circle is said to be performing circular motion. Now here they have given the characteristic of circular motion. Let's start with this. It is an accelerated motion. Accelerate means what? The particle is moving along a circumference with change in acceleration. Its acceleration is changing. So that motion, circular motion, is said to be accelerated motion. Let's go to next characteristics. As in the first one, it is accelerated motion as direction of velocity changes at every instant. It is an accelerated motion. Velocity changes at this point. The velocity is here somewhere. It goes like this. The motion is anti-clockwise direction. Particle comes here, the velocity goes in this direction. Particle comes here, the velocity goes in this direction. Means what? As the position of particle gets changed, in this case direction is here, here and here. So direction gets changed. And as direction gets changed, we can say there is change in velocity, because velocity is a vector quantity, has a magnitude as well as direction. And direction gets changed means velocity gets changed. And we know that whenever there is change in velocity, there is change in acceleration. And that motion is said to be accelerated motion. Let's go next. It is a periodic motion. During the motion, particle repeat its path along the same trajectory, so the motion is said to be periodic. If you remember, when we have started with the oscillation chapter, at that time we have learned this. The motion which repeats itself again and again in equal interval of time is said to be periodic motion. So here particle start here, again goes here and finally come here, and whatever the time required for next rotation, again within the same time it will come back here. For example, it is 12. Okay, 12. Clock goes here, the second hand goes here, again come to the 12. 60 seconds are required for first rotation. Again second, 60 seconds. So that motion repeated again and again in equal interval of time. That is every 60 seconds, that second hand come to 12. We assume that it will start at 12. Okay, so that type of motion is said to be periodic motion. So this circular motion along the circumference of a circle repeat again and again. While repeating, the time period is same, okay, for every rotation or every revolution. That's why it is said to be nothing but what? That's why it is said to be periodic motion. I hope all of you got this. If anybody don't have a problem with this, because it is very basic concept that. So these are the two characteristics. The circular motion is nothing but a periodic. Apart from it is said to be accelerated motion. Let's go next. Kinematics of circular motion. The kinematics means what? The basic concept they have mentioned. If you remember, in 11th standard we have learned about velocity v. Okay, velocity v, displacement x, and acceleration as a. This is linear displacement, linear velocity, linear acceleration. As in this case, it is a circular motion along circumference. It is curved. Curved means what? It is a one type of angular motion. So here displacement can be measured in terms of theta, angular displacement. Velocity would be said to be angular velocity omega. Acceleration is said to be angular acceleration alpha. Okay. In linear velocity, v equal to what? Rate of change of displacement. It is dx by dt. Okay. Here it is what? Here theta is a displacement, so d theta by dt. If you remember, in linear acceleration, a equal to what? dv by dt, as we have learned this in oscillation also, or it is said to be d2x divided by dt square. In angular, instead of v, it comes omega, so it is d omega by dt, or sometimes it is said to be d2 theta by dt square. That is nothing but an angular acceleration. So here in the circular motion, the linear motion never comes here, we should consider the angular also. Yes, there we can consider linear also, but mostly this is angular motion. So we have to consider theta as a displacement, omega as an angular velocity, alpha as a angular acceleration. The same thing they have given here. Apart from this, they have given an equation between V equal to omega cross r, and all these equations are in vector form. V is said to be linear velocity, omega is angular velocity, r is said to be radius of the circle. Circumference of a circle, particle is moving whose radius is r. So this equation, all of you have to remember, this equation gives the relation between v and omega, linear velocity and angular velocity. In terms of vector quantity, we can represent it like this. Scalar quantity, we can represent this like this. V equal to omega r, or is sometimes said to be r omega, because it is vector quantity. Direction is not important. In scalar quantity, direction is not important. Here the direction is important. So you can't write it like this, r cross omega. Somebody tried to write it, it is wrong. You can't write like this. Why? Because it is vector quantity. But you can write it as v equal to omega r or r omega, because it is in magnitude form. Direction is not important. So this is possible here. You can't write this here like this. You have to remember this equation, because lot of time in board examination they have asked the relation between linear velocity and angular velocity given by the equation. Option A is this, B is this, C is this, and D is this. So you have to choose the correct option, and the correct option in vector form is this one. Okay, omega cross r. Let's go. Apart from this, there is some angular frequency or this is angular velocity. Angular frequency is there, that is 2 pi n, omega equal to 2 pi n. It is said to be 2 pi by n, so it is said to be 2 pi by t, because frequency is 1 by t. So this part also we have learned. So 2 pi by n or 2 pi divided by t is nothing but what? The angular frequency. From this we can find a time period, t equal to 2 pi by omega. So this is 2 pi by omega. You can write as a t. Is that clear? So this is the equation for time period, just basic formula that already we have learned about. And here acceleration has a value. This acceleration, linear acceleration and angular acceleration, just if you remember, radial acceleration A equal to minus omega square r. Minus omega square r is nothing but equation, and again here it is equal to v square by r. Minus omega square by r, or just in magnitude form, omega square r equal to v square by r. This equation gives the relation between acceleration, linear acceleration, angular velocity. Linear velocity, linear acceleration. Linear acceleration, angular velocity. The relation is given by this, and this acceleration is always try to move from this. Suppose here somewhere the particle is, always that acceleration move toward the radius of the circle and toward the center of the circle. So this is the direction of this, and that's why it is said to be a suffix r. Radial acceleration means the acceleration of particle moving along a radius toward the center of the circle, and that is said to be radial acceleration, or sometime it is said to be centripetal acceleration. So this is nothing but a radial or centripetal acceleration. Below that we have to see the examples of this. So what are the examples? So circular motion of any particle of a fan, the ceiling fan, suppose we have its path, any particle of that fan rotating uniformly. For example, fan is rotating, ceiling fan. It has 3 pans. So on this tip of 3 pans, suppose 3 particles are kept. So when fan is rotating with a constant angular velocity, we can say all that 3 particles are performing circular motion, because at the tip they are, if you consider equal distances toward the center, still they are performing the circular motion. Is it clear? So just I would like to make clear much more. Suppose we have created, this is a fan. Diagram is not important to us. Suppose the concept is important to us. Suppose this is a fan. So this is a fan. It is rotating. I have considered only 3 particles here. One particle is here somewhere at a tip, it is P1. At this tip it is P2. At this tip it is P3. And suppose fan is rotating like this. Okay. When fan start rotating with constant velocity, we can say this particle P1, P2 and P3, they are performing what? Circular motion along the circumference. This motion repeated again and again. That example they have given. Suppose I have taken a particle, instead of the tip I have taken here P1, here P2, here P3. Still they are performing circular motion like this. So particle at any position on this pan perform a circular motion, except it must have some radius. If we consider particle exactly at the center and fan is rotating, the particle perform a rotational motion. It will spin like this. Rotational motion. There is no circular motion now. Okay. So that is nothing but this example they have given. Non-uniform circular motion means what? Initially when we switch on the fan, initially fan is at rest. It is not moving. When we switch on, its velocity start increasing from 0 to certain maximum value. Okay, 0 to maximum value. Velocity increases, its acceleration is there. Because velocity is changing. After some time, it will move with a constant velocity. At that time, velocity is constant, acceleration is 0. After that, when we switch off the fan, again the velocity of fan decreases from maximum velocity to minimum, decreases and finally becomes 0. Velocity changes, so again there is acceleration. So here there are two positions. When we switch on the fan, velocity changes from 0 to certain value. That means there is an acceleration. After 1 to 2 minutes, velocity remains constant, acceleration is 0. Okay. Again, when we switch off the fan, velocity decreases maximum value to 0. That means velocity changing. Again, it has a acceleration. So this is non-uniform circular motion example they have given. Apart from this, just they have mentioned here, already we have seen alpha equal to dw by dt. This part already we have learned. Okay. Apart from this, if you have the book, in your book, figure 1.3 is there. Direction of angular acceleration. If it is moving with a velocity clockwise direction, suppose when it is moving with a clockwise direction, the direction of angular velocity and angular acceleration is same. But if it is moving in anti-clockwise direction, the direction of angular velocity and angular acceleration is exactly opposite to each other. Same thing they have mentioned in figure 1.3. Let's go further. In your book, the next topic they have mentioned is centripetal force. What exactly centripetal force is? That part we have to learn. The force which is necessary for a particle to perform a circular motion, that force is said to be centripetal force. Now this centripetal force is, if there is no centripetal force, there should not be circular motion. So whenever there is circular motion, there must be centripetal force. So what exactly centripetal force is, that we have to see. Centripetal force, as we have seen, centripetal acceleration is an acceleration along the radius toward the center. Similarly, this force is along the radius moving toward the center. That's why it is said to be centripetal force. Okay. And remember, whenever there is circular motion, there must be centripetal force to give the circular motion to the object. Without centripetal force, circular motion does not exist. It is not possible. But remember, this centripetal force always comes with a pair. Another pair is there. This centripetal force and another, this is centripetal force. I can write here FCP, centripetal force moving toward the center along the radius. And second force is there, centrifugal force. This is another force which is come into existence whenever there is circular motion, exactly similar to centripetal force, only direction is opposite. It is moving toward the center, it is moving away from the center. That is said to be centrifugal force, FCP suppose. So both the forces always exist in pair and they are always exactly in opposite direction. One is moving toward, it is toward the center, centripetal force. Other is moving away from the center, centrifugal force. So these are the two forces which always exist here whenever there is circular motion. Again, this equation for centripetal force they have given, centripetal force FCP equal to minus mr omega square or equal to minus mv square by r. This is the equation of centripetal force. Similarly, centrifugal force exactly similar to this. Opposite in direction means what? Whenever we write centrifugal force, I will write here FCF. Centrifugal force is equal to what? mr omega square. It is plus equal to plus mv square by r, because it is exactly opposite. If this is minus, this must be plus. So this is nothing but a centripetal force and centrifugal force. Both are responsible to produce a circular motion. If these two forces are not there, there is no circular motion. So let's go further. In the same topic, the centrifugal force. Again, the second difference between these two is what? Centripetal force, this is said to be real force. Real force. The force which has certain origin, that is said to be real force. Centrifugal force is said to be imaginary force or pseudo force. Pseudo force. Pseudo force which doesn't have specific origin. Pseudo force means imaginary force. Centripetal force is a real force which has certain origin, and centrifugal force is an imaginary force, sometimes said to be centrifugal force, sometimes said to be pseudo force. Okay, again, centripetal force always exists in inertial frame of reference. Centrifugal force always exists in non-inertial frame of reference. So this inertial, non-inertial frame of reference we have learned in 11th standard, if you remember. So let's go. The next there are two ways of writing these forces. Resultant forces equal to sum of these two forces. So that is m omega square r plus real forces. So I can write this as total forces equal to mr omega square, this one centrifugal, plus summation of real forces. Real forces means what? FCP, centripetal force. Sum of them give the total forces acting on a particle performing circular motion. Let's go to next. Vehicle along a horizontal circular track. Suppose horizontal circular track is there. How it behave, that we have to consider under this. The motion along a horizontal circular track. Let's start with this. Vehicle along a horizontal circular track. Vehicle along a horizontal circular track. I will write the shortcut like this. Vehicle along a horizontal circular track. If this is a circular track, but it is horizontal, exactly horizontal like this. There is no inclination, there is no deep and peak here. It is exactly horizontal circular track we have created. Circular track which is exactly horizontal. Might be all of you have seen the toy train. The small childs or children's or kids are playing with the train. Train has a circular track they have. Just start the train, it will perform a circular motion in the track, and that is said to be exactly horizontal circular track in which particle is performing or train is performing circular motion. Exactly horizontal, that is said to be. That train toy is similar to the vehicle or train moving along a exactly horizontal circular track. Along that suppose instead of that train we have the vehicle that is moving along a horizontal circular track. Now we have to learn some factor about this. So what are the factors we have to consider? So this is that circle along which that vehicle is moving. Okay, now instead of particle here it is vehicle. It is vehicle is moving along a exact horizontal part, exact horizontal circular track. Now here I have taken a small portion. I will just modify this small portion. This small portion I have taken, it will look like a straight line like this. So just modify it here. I will write here like this. This part I am going to zoom. So this part is this. Now let's draw here the vehicle. So it must have some wheels like this. So these are the wheels. Suppose on this wheel the vehicle is kept. Suppose this is a vehicle. Diagram is not important. Important is concept. So let us suppose this is a vehicle V which is moving along this horizontal circular track. Okay. Now this vehicle has its own mass and it will accumulate at the center of mass that is acting in downward direction, and that mass is W equal to mg. Weight of the car or vehicle acting in downward direction. At the same time there is a normal reaction. According to Newton's third law of action, there must be normal reaction. So this mg is downward force due to weight and is a normal reaction according to Newton's third law. Apart from this, here on this road, this tire get just this tire get touches to the road. So there is what? Frictional force between the road surface and the tire of the vehicle. They will produce a friction, and that is the frictional force. So we must consider force of friction, that is Fs. So there are three forces we have considered. One is due to mass, W equal to mg, acting in downward direction. Normal reaction, exactly perpendicular to road, moving in upward direction. And frictional force along the surface of the road. So these three forces are act here on the road. Now here we have to write a equation. We have to write some equation here, and suppose the track has a radius r here. So this track is moving along this, and this radius of this is nothing but a r. Circular track has a radius r. Now you can write as this force Fs, this center of the circle, suppose, and it is circle like this. Vehicle is moving along circumference of circle like this. This is, I have drawn a little bit bigger circle. Let's make it small. So it should not be this much big. This is the center point, it should come. So it will be like this. Suppose this is circle. I know that this is not look like a circle. Suppose it is circle. So such type of track we have is circumference of a circle. This vehicle is moving along circumference of this circle. Now this is the origin. Just I will draw again because it does not look good. So let's start with a better looking circle we have to draw. It start from here. It goes upward here, and it is suppose again it will take a lot of time to draw the circle. So it is better to go with this. Whatever the circle we are drawing, let us assume this is circular track, and on this vehicle is moving. Let us assume this circular track on which vehicle is moving, and this is the radius r of the circle. Vehicle is moving along the circumference. Vehicle is performing circular motion here. Now here, just equate the forces. As this force is moving toward the center of the circle O, frictional forces, so this will provide a necessary centripetal force. So we can write one equation here. So this N, normal reaction is balanced by upward force equal to downward force. That is equation 1, N equal to mg, where it is balanced by normal reaction. Then what about Fs? Fs provide necessary centripetal force, and there is one formula for centripetal force I have written initially here. Mr omega square equal to mv square by r. In magnitude I have taken minus sign, I have neglected. Necessary centripetal force is given by this equation. Mr omega square equal to mv square by r. In your book there is figure 1.4. Below that these two equations they have mentioned. So suppose it is equation 2. Now further, suppose I have divided equation 2 by equation 1. 2 by 1. What we get? Fs divided by n. Fs divided by n. M get cancelled out. R omega square divided by g, or it is what? V square divided by rg. Divide 2 by 1, we get this. Okay, R omega square divided by g equal to V square by rg. Same thing they have mentioned in your book. Apart from this, this normal reaction, this force is always constant because m is constant, g is constant. So normal reaction upward equal to downward, they are same. So all here mass of the vehicle is constant, x line due to gravity is constant, so n is always constant. Okay, so that can be seen from this equation. Now here we have to find out Fs max, maximum frictional force is there. So I will write here the maximum frictional force, I will write here somewhere. Fs, it is a maximum, maximum frictional force depend on two factor, that is nothing but what? Mu suffix s into n. N is normal reaction, mu s is said to be coefficient of static friction. So this force, frictional force, depend on this coefficient of static friction because it is constant. So this is coefficient of static friction. Now apart from this, if we want to find out this force, you can write this Fs divided by n. Suppose this frictional force is maximum. Okay, frictional force is maximum, you can write this max, the velocity must be maximum. So you can write this equation. From this just find out V max. So V max square equal to what we get, so that we have to find out. So V max square we have to find out. So it is just, we can write here one equation, r omega square g. Instead of this you should write the Fs max value, this mu s into n divided by n. N get cancelled out, we get here mu s. Okay, we get mu s. Find out Vmax, Rg into mu s. So mu s into Rg is Vmax square. It is Vmax square. What is Vmax then? Square root of mu s into Rg. And this is a velocity with which the vehicle can travel along a horizontal curve circle, exactly horizontal curve circle, with a maximum velocity is given by this equation, square root of mu s into R into G. With this velocity, object can travel along a circumference, exactly horizontal circular road. Okay, and that equation we have derived. Let's go further. Before going to further, do you know they have the part, green part, do you know? And apart from this, use your brain power. So these are the topic for better understanding. Try to read this, try to read and try to answer yourself. That is, try to think on that line. That's why they have used use your brain power. So just read it. Green part, do you know? That is very important. You must know that thing, and use your brain, push your brain, or just use your logic for that second part is there. Now we have to go to next. That is a veil or wall of death. Veil or wall of death. What exactly veil or wall of death? That we have to consider here. So I think it is sufficient today. We'll start this veil or death ring, or we can say, might be all of you have seen the circus in your lifetime once. In that circus there is one concept that is said to Maut Ka Kuwa. Might be all of you are here, and that Maut Ka Kuwa, same thing, Maut Ka Kuwa they have written in Hindi also. That is well or wall of death, that we have to consider here, and we have to apply some formulas, then we have to go further. I think it is sufficient to go up to this point. So just do one thing, just read this topic up till now, then in next period we start with the will, then we'll start with the next topics. Is it clear? So if you have any problem, you can message me or you can contact with me. I hope you understand this. I have taught you very small topic today. We have not taken that much part. Very small topic we have taken. Just try to read it and understand this. Again, remember, in this centripetal and centrifugal force, there is after this there are some point they have given in blue shapes in your book. If you have the book, just look at the book on that particular topic. Just they have given some values. First thing they have given about centripetal force, page number 3. Remember this. That topic you have to remember. That is nothing but a simple definitions, mathematical equations they have given. That just you have to remember that topic. Still, if you have the problem, you can contact me or you can ask me. I hope you understand this topic. Now we'll stop here. Next page tomorrow we will see the next topic of the chapter. Thank you.